Alexander Zverev revives the controversy with Carlos Alcaraz in Australia. He had a small physical break. The German has not forgotten the match against the player from Murcia in the semi-finals, where moments of desperation were experienced in a match that lasted almost 5.5 hours. What a match we experienced just a month ago between Carlos Alcaraz and Alexander Zverev. A semi-final at the Australian Open that ended with an astonishing 6-4, 7-6, 6-7, 6-7 and 7-5 in a match that lasted 5 hours and 27 minutes. The German reappeared at the ATP in Acapulco after a month of rest following that tough blow, defeating Corentin Moutet in the first round and recalling in the press conference that unforgettable battle against the player from Murcia. Zverev reflects on Australia. I think in Australia I played the right way. I lost the match against Alcaraz because I got tired at the end, being honest. I had nothing left in the tank at 5-4. I remember on the first point of that game that I should have hit the ball much earlier, but to do that you have to move and I couldn't do it, Alexander Zverev explained to the media. One cannot overlook the conflict that arose during the match. The German, when Alcaraz was attended during the third set of the encounter for vomiting and cramps, an angry Zverev could not help but shout, "He has cramps. What is this nonsense? He can't go to the doctor, he has cramps. What else could it be? This is complete nonsense. Nonsense. This is unbelievable." These shouts at the chair umpire were added to his suggestion that the Australian Open favoured both Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner, who experienced a similar situation. With recharged batteries after the setback with Carlitos, all the back and forth about the cramps and the prohibition on being treated in the middle of a match was something that generated a lot of talk, but Zverev has already forgotten it. The world number 4 arrived in Acapulco with a different attitude. "I didn't play at all after the Australian Open. I took some time off and had good training sessions because I want to continue playing in a certain way and with a specific style, and that requires a lot of training and adjustments. For me it's a very different game from last year. I'm trying new things. I arrived here several days ago, so I've had time to train and to try to have a good tournament." Although luck does not seem to be on his side, as he fell in the round of 16 to Kekmanovic in a tight 3-set match in which the German had the sweet taste of victory within reach after finishing 3-6, 7-6, 3, and 6-7, 7. How much money would Carlos Alcaraz pocket if he lifts the title in Indian Wells? The ATP has made public the prize money for the Indian Wells tournament, the first Masters 1000 of the season. The best players in the world will meet once again in Indian Wells, from March 4 to 15. The facilities of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden will host, as usual, the first Masters 1000 of the season, a tournament that players love and that all the great legends of this sport have lifted on some occasion. Federer, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2012 and 2017, and Djokovic, 2008, 2011, 2014, 2015 and 2016, have won it 5 times each. Rafa Nadal has 3 titles in the Californian desert, 2007, 2009 and 2013, and Jimmy Connors and Michael Chang also conquered it in 3 editions. Carlos Alcaraz has already triumphed twice in Indian Wells, 2023 and 2024. Appearing on the list of players with 2 titles, which includes tennis players of the caliber of Jim Courier, Boris Becker, Lleyton Hewitt, and Pete Sampras. The current champion and defending title holder is the Briton Jack Draper, who defeated Alcaraz last year in the semi-finals. And as in every ATP tournament, there will also be substantial prize money for all players. Carlos Alcaraz, champion this year of the Australian Open and the ATP 500 in Doha, leads earnings this season with more than $3 million, specifically a total of $3,301,730. The player from Murcia, in outstanding form, will seek in Indian Wells his 3rd title of the year and to continue adding money to his bank account. The ATP has already made public the prize money for Indian Wells 2026 and the winner will take home $1,151,380. The finalist will pocket $612,340. While the semi-finalists will receive $340,190. Reaching the quarterfinals will earn $193,645. The rest of the prize money will be distributed as follows. 4th round, $105,720. 3rd round, $61,865. 2nd round, $36,110. 1st round, $24,335. Alcaraz stands firm and responds to Sinner's threat. The rivalry that sustains modern tennis has added a new chapter off the court. With Roland Garros 2026 looming on the horizon, Jannik Sinner has not hidden his hunger for glory, openly declaring his intention to dethrone Carlos Alcaraz in his own backyard. However, the Spaniard, far from entering into a war of words, has responded with a philosophy of steel. In an appearance that exuded serenity, the player from Murcia made it clear that his radar does not detect the movements of others. For Carlitos, tennis has ceased to be a pursuit of records and has become a celebration of health. I've been injured, and in that time when you're out of competition, you miss it. You realize how beautiful it is. That's why, once I can do it, it's time to stop thinking about the rest and think about how fortunate I am, Alcaraz confessed. This statement is not just a diplomatic phrase, it is a declaration of intent. After tasting the bitter flavor of a break due to injury, Alcaraz has reset his mindset. The poison of competition is now managed from a place of enjoyment, a psychological tactic that is often more lethal than any inside-out forehand. The assault on the clay throne. While the tennis world anticipates a train collision in Paris, Alcaraz keeps a steady pulse. His objectives for 2026 are clear: the Masters 1000 events and the Grand Slams. But above the trophies, his main goal is absolute dominance through happiness on court. "Even if I lose a point or a match, you'll see me happy because I love competing," stated the world number one. Sinner wants the throne, but Alcaraz has built a mental wall where there is only space for his own tennis. The battle for Roland Garros has already begun, and it is not being played with rackets, but with the mind. Jannik Sinner explained his biggest crisis in the world of tennis. Jannik Sinner exited early from the ATP 500 in Doha. Could Mensik beat him? Yes. But it is still one of the biggest surprises of the tournament. The Italian acknowledged the high level of his rival's serve, admitted specific mistakes at key moments and conceded that he was not entirely sharp in certain decisions, although he made it clear that he is not worried about his current level. "I made a couple too many mistakes, but it can happen. I'm a bit upset about how I handled some moments, although it's something that can occur. Every player faces ups and downs. I've had 2 incredible years and now I'm in a small dip, but it's not something that worries me. I know I can play better tennis. In our job we all have ups and downs." With this Sinner defeat, the ATP 500 Doha trophy seems served up for Carlos Alcaraz, who will have the chance to win a new title and extend his hold at the top of the rankings. The difference between the Spaniard and the Italian is 2,850 points, which could widen to 3,150 points if the world number one maintains his streak in Qatar. What's coming in the short term? I know how to come back. I'm very calm. I'm sure the work will bear fruit, the results will come. Maybe not in Indian Wells or in Miami, but the work will pay off. It's no big deal. In the medium term? We are working on the physical side. Now we have 2 weeks in which we can work well and refuel for the upcoming tournaments. I'm trying to find a good balance since in Australia I was a bit flat. In this match I tried to push a bit more, but here too I have to find the balance. And in the long term? One of my big goals will be Roland Garros, but that goal is still far away. We've seen that all players have suffered throughout their careers, although I wouldn't call this suffering yet. I've simply lost a couple of matches. I also have to remember what I've done in the last 3 years, in which I've won a lot of matches and lost few. The confidence to play good tennis is there. An Italian tennis legend such as Adriano Panatta has called for respect for Jannik Sinner after the large amount of criticism he is receiving due to his defeat to Djokovic in Australia and, above all, against Mensik in Doha. The former tennis player has pointed to Spain as one of the main sources of criticism toward the current world number 2. Known for always expressing his opinion very vehemently, Italian tennis legend Adriano Panatta has spoken about Jannik Sinner's current form. Accustomed to excellence in his game, the current world number 2 fell to Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals of the Australian Open 2026 after having conquered the Oceanic Grand Slam on 2 consecutive occasions. However, what has really set off the alarms was the defeat to Jakub Mensik in the quarterfinals of the ATP 500 in Doha. For Panatta, that crisis does not exist. It's logical that they are writing this now and they would be happy if it were so, but I'm sorry to contradict them. Jannik is not in crisis at all, Adriano Panatta began regarding the criticism from Spain towards Sinner, in comments to La Nuova D's and statements reported by Corriere dello Sport. In conclusion, Panatta is clear that the criticism of Jannik Sinner for his last 2 defeats is unjustified. Someone like Sinner, who is the world number 1, who has won everything in his career and was almost unbeatable, cannot be criticized like this for 2 defeats, the former Italian tennis player commented about the Fox's recent run of results.